Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing what if Henry Clay won in the 1832 election. Let's see, I'm just looking for my notes. But yes, let's take a look at the first election, which is going to be 1832. Of course, we do basic procedure, give Clay the closest states that would have given him the victory, and which gives him 153 electoral votes. That's the smallest amount he'd win by, and he would become the 8th president, defeating Andrew Jackson. Going on to let's go back. In his first term, not much would be done, but the Second Bank of America would be established, so we would have a Second Bank of the United States, and the Second Seminole War would happen. In 1836, the Democrats would nominate Martin Van Buren. Andrew Jackson always wanted Van Buren to be his successor, and that would still happen, but Clay would beat him worse than he did Jackson in this timeline because Van Buren's an awful candidate. He was historically. And in his second term, due to Jackson's policies not happening in this timeline, and the Second Bank of America kind of stimulating the economy, there would be no Panic of 1837. And since there's no Jackson, there is no Cherokee removal. Going on to the 1840 election, Whigs would nominate William Harrison, as they did in our timeline, and Democrats would nominate James K. Polk. Jackson would push for Polk, and Harrison would still choose John Tyler as his running mate, and Littleton Tazewell would be James Polk's running mate. But Polk wouldn't have the energy factor from the Texas annexation to push him over the edge, and plus Harrison was fairly popular, and Whig General William Harrison would defeat Democrat Senator James Polk 205 to 89, pretty much in a landslide victory, to become the 9th president. In his first term, William Harrison would pass away, and John Tyler would end up becoming the 10th president of the United States, meaning pretty much what happened in our timeline happens now. The Armed Occupation Act would be signed, the Webster-Ashburn Treaty is signed, and the Second Seminole War would end. Going on to 1844, Whigs would nominate Millard Fillmore, the New York City comptroller, I think it's pronounced. The Democrats would nominate Pennsylvania Senator James Buchanan. Fillmore would nominate Theodore Frelinghuysen as his running mate, and James Buchanan would choose Michigan Senator Lewis Cass as his running mate. This would be a very close election. Fillmore and Buchanan both historically unpopular after they became president, but they are just terrible candidates in and of itself. But Whig Comptroller Millard Fillmore would defeat Democrat Senator James Buchanan 138 to 137 to become the 11th president. But he does end up losing the popular vote, which is the first time that happens in this world. In his first term, we would see the annexation of Texas, the Mexican-American War, the Oregon Treaty, which establishes, where Canada is and where the U.S. is. So we get Washington and Oregon, and the Treaty of Cajunga, which ends the Mexican-American War, meaning Millard Fillmore is a lot more popular in this timeline than he is in our reality. Going in 1848, Democrats would nominate Associate Justice Levi Woodbury. Woodbury would be popular due to his Supreme Court appeal, and he would choose Secretary of the Navy John Mason as his running mate. But due to Fillmore's popularity from the Mexican-American War victory as well as the annexation of Texas, he would beat Levi Woodbury 179 to 111 to win re-election. Did I do this right? I did, okay. Going on to 1852, this election happens as is, nothing changes here. Franklin Pierce would become the 12th president, and everything that happened in his term would happen now. The Kansas-Nebraska Act, the Third Seminole War, as well as the Yakima War. Going on in 1856, Pierce would not run for re-election as he did in our timeline. Instead, Stephen Douglas would end up becoming the nominee, the senator from Illinois. And a new party would emerge. The radical wing from the Whig Party would break apart and form the Republican Party, such as in my Hamilton timeline, but the Federalists. Salmon Chase would be the Whig nominee, and John C. Fremont would be the Republican nominee, and they would split the vote. And Stephen Douglas would win due to this, becoming the 13th president. In his first term, we would see the Panic of 1857, the Paiute War, the Third Seminole War would end, as well as the Yakima War ending. 1860, Republicans would nominate Abraham Lincoln. We'd pretty much see a rematch from the Senate race between these two, but this time the presidential level, and Lincoln would beat Douglas to become the 14th president. And the Civil War would start, and this is where we get back on our timeline. This is the farthest I could go without making it realistic, our timeline would go back to normal. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Go follow my Twitter at Chaotic Politics. This is the Chaotic One saying peace.